State Independent Electoral Commission (SECs) were established to oversee local government elections in Nigeria with the goal of deepening grassroots democracy. However, their ability to conduct credible elections has been widely questioned. Concerns persist regarding the credibility of these elections, as many stakeholders argue that SECs lack true independence, that they are often seen as extensions of state governments, resulting in elections where ruling parties dominate and opposition participation remains minimal. Additionally, low voter turnout further undermines confidence in the process. Despite these concerns, SECs continue to function as the primary bodies responsible for local elections. Yet, issues such as poor funding, weak institutional frameworks, and allegations of electoral malpractice persist. This has led to ongoing debates about whether SECs should be strengthened or if their responsibilities should be transferred to the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC. These are the critical issues we will be focusing on the program today as we seek insights into way forward for local government elections in Nigeria. I am Ezenwa Wagu. Welcome to Electoral Reform Half Hour on NTA News 24 Abuja. This program is brought to you by Peering Advocacy and Advancement Center in Africa with support from MacArthur Foundation. Our guest tonight is Honorable Samuel Akala. He is a grassroots development specialist and staunch advocate of local government autonomy. He has served as executive chairman of Karo Local Government Council of Nasarawa State and as a special advisor to the governor on urban development. Students and non-governmental organizations as well as special duties. He's been special advisor on all of these urban development and students and NGOs, and has as well been worked on special duties. Throughout his time in office, he championed key development projects, including the digitization of tax administration, which significantly boosted internally generated revenue. The execution of a COVID-19 response strategy in partnership with UN Habitat, and the construction of health care centers and boreholes, and the provision of school furniture to support education. His contributions to governance and community development have earned him several awards and recognitions. We're excited to have you, Honorable Samuel Akala.
It's my pleasure.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Great having you. So, let me just go straight to it. What have been happening to you since you left as chairman of Karo Local Government, and all of these positions that you have held, both as special advisor to the governor and of that? What have you been doing with yourself since then?
Well, I've been, even while in office, I'm not a full-time politician. As a young man, I have a second address. I'm into food business. I'm also into agri-business. And of course, also venture into transport business as well. So I've been running those businesses even before I became chairman. So I am trying to expand the scope of those businesses. And I'm also into advocacy, business for grassroots governance, spanning through deepening democracy at the local government. I've been a strong advocate of local government autonomy, even while in office. So basically, I've devoted my time to also self-development as well, developing my capacity in other spectrum of life.
Yeah, I do know that you've become a resource person almost for a lot of organizations on conversations around local government elections.
Yeah.
So, having served as chairman, what's your experience with state independent electoral commissions? How effective do you think they are in terms of their independence and transparency?
Well, I've always made my position very clear. I don't mince words when it comes to describing how the state independent electoral commissions are. So in most cases, sometimes I just say, no, that word independent should be removed from their names because there is nothing independent about them. But of course, you must also give it to them. They are also working within the scope of how they find themselves. Number one, they lack funding. Number two, they lack the atmosphere to operate independently. And then, of course, that impacted negatively on the conduct of elections and their outcomes. For me, I keep saying, look, the basis upon which the local government can survive is leadership recruitment. As long as we cannot address that, and as of today, the Constitution mandates state electoral bodies to conduct elections into local government. And basically, it is the business of the state governments. So the state government, in conjunction with state assembly, manipulates the state independent electoral commission however they want it. So whatever outcome they want is what they get. Yes, I am a beneficiary of that process. But of course, I know that I had a very competitive primary election. I contested against a sitting local government chairman, and I defeated him in that primaries. It is the final election that is, every time I speak, and I have reservations about it, because I know that my opponents were not given that level playing field to participate, and the people were not allowed to actually determine who lists them at that level of governance. So I think this is what I can say about the state electoral bodies. Sincerely, there is nothing independent.
So from what you're saying, it's clear that there's a low interest.
That's right.
Citizens are not interested. Opposition parties barely participate, except those who are created in the image of the governing powers. So with benefit of insight now and with the vast experience that you have, how do you think confidence can be restored?
Well, it takes a lot of work, and what you are also doing at this level is also impacting on the system positively, because the truth of the matter, because of the kind of picture I've painted, citizens have lost confidence in elections when it comes to local government election. That is why you will see major political parties, before the election, they will announce that they are not participating. They are announcing non-participation because of the kind of processes leading to that. Sometimes you just sit down and hear that the local government, the SEC, will come out and say, we're conducting an election in 2 weeks. Throwing away regulations that gave them powers to conduct the election. There is no law in the country that does not mandate at least 3 months' notice.
Indeed, the truth is that you have to have 365 days notice, because it is the law of the Federation, the Electoral Act, mandates that is what should be used in conducting local government. So they cherry pick what they want and then leave all of that.
So as a result of that, citizens have lost confidence, one, in participating in local government
elections. How do we
elections,
restore confidence?
and then two, even in the governance at that level. So now, to restore confidence into that system or into that process, first, we must be able to reform the state electoral body. There are only 2 options, in my own personal opinion. One is either we make them truly independent by amending the status, establishing the state electoral body, granting them financial autonomy by the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Just like we're talking about local government financial autonomy, funding, direct funding to the local government, there should be direct funding to state electoral body from the federation account. Otherwise, the state government will not fund it. And of course, once there is no independence of funding, then you can't expect any independent activity from them. And then the second one is recruitment, appointment into the commission itself. So the constitution must clearly stipulate the kind of individuals that should be appointed into the state electoral body to conduct the affairs of the commission. Because right now, you see that the state government appoints party loyalists into the commission, So those two key factors are what, if we're able to address them, then we will be able to restore confidence into the electoral process at the state, and then thereby getting citizens to be interested and other political parties to participate and grant the citizens the opportunity to determine who lists them at that level of governance.
There are those who are frustrated by some of the things that you have said and are saying, look, why don't you just get the INEC, Independent National Electoral Commission, to conduct these elections? And so some are even saying you can have all elections in one day, and forget about this. So why you are important for me in this program is that beyond now being a politician, you have moved into activism around these issues. What are your take around that?
Yeah, just like I was saying, I said there are two options: reforming the state electoral body or allowing federal INEC to take over election. I participated in the most of the summits of the National Assembly Summit on Review of the Constitution. I made presentations. I made presentation at a Senate committee. I made presentation at a House of Reps. So my position on this, even in my presentation, is to allow federal INEC take over the responsibility of conducting local government election, because my reason is, one, the states are not ready to allow the local government to function independently. So to my mind, if we allow the state electoral body to conduct election into the local government, yes, their activities are not perfect. There are a lot of grounds here and there, but they are better. The citizens prefer to participate in that election than the state electoral body. Now, it is also, in my own honest opinion, that this election can be conducted in one day. Just like we schedule election, presidential and National Assembly election, state and governor and state assembly election, you can have state governor, state assembly, and local government the same day. One is going to save the country, reduce the cost of conducting this election. If you want to have to split it, that you have elections probably on this year, and maybe next year you have for local government, is going to be more expensive to do that. So for us, we feel you can do that, conduct that election in one day, the entire election, the same period, and of course grant local government uniform term of office of 4 years. So you will be able to align our governance system and electoral system to be able to reduce this, what do you call it now, this low interest that has, has become, when elections are announced for local government, nobody cares.
Honorable Akala,
CSOs do not also take interest in that election.
I'll come to that when we return. Okay. We will go on a break now. Electoral reform half hour continues shortly. Stay with us. Glad to have you back. We've been speaking with Honorable Samuel Akala, former Executive Chairman, Karu Local Government Council, Nasarawa State. So you were talking about how civil society organizations, the media, and even donors do not show, the kind of interest that we show in national elections in the subnational ones. But we're talking about unbundling INEC.
Yeah.
Already there is the conversation about taking some of the responsibilities that INEC and giving them to others. And then somebody is talking about, you and, stakeholders like you are saying, take this responsibility, give it back to an institution that we are talking about removing some of the responsibilities they have, because they are registering political parties, they are delineating constituencies, they are conducting elections, they are doing voter education, and all of those things. A lot of people think they are prosecuting electoral offenders. A lot of people think that that's way too much. But I want you to look at, for instance, why don't we strengthen local governments by what you talked about, funding, direct funding? Why don't we create a more broad appointing mechanism for local governments? Is it something that, because outsourcing the responsibility to INEC will burden INEC and would create more logistical challenges? So for you, is that there is no middle ground?
Well, just like I said, I gave options on how we can get out of this challenge that the nation has found itself in terms of leadership recruitment into the local government. I said we can reform the state electoral body by amending the laws to establish direct funding for them, creating a more stringent criteria for appointment into the commission, those who will conduct the affairs of the commission. Because right now, they are just party men and women in the states that are appointed to carry out the biddings of the state government. So for me, I believe we can do that. Unbundling INEC. Yes, I agree we can unbundle INEC. I also agree INEC can conduct election for local government. So how do we unbundle INEC? You can take out certain responsibilities, say voter
party registration,
voters registration, and others, and give it to state electoral commissions to carry out. In any case, these are activities that are community-based, So they can carry out their activities with strengthening of their capacity to do this responsibility. So INEC will now be saddled with the responsibility of only conducting elections. So continuous voters registration, party registration, and all other activities they carry out of election period. The state electoral body can be capacitated to carry out these assignments, but they cannot also carry out this assignment effectively if we don't amend their laws to make them independent in the right sense of independence. Because right now, there is absolutely no semblance of independence in what the state electoral bodies are doing.
When I was in my opener, I was talking about some of the things that you did as local government chairman. Yeah. It is still within this context, but there are people who are asking the question, whether there will be some kind of connection with the reforms in local government to grassroots development. How were you able to, within all the limitations that there were, achieve some of those things that we read out in our opener?
I think I get I get these questions more often each time I appear in any conversation like this. They will tell me, "Oh, you said the election was not. Why didn't you resign?" No, now I said I took the advantage to change narrative about local governance, So when I went into the local government, my major focus, because I was able to canvass the 11 electoral wards making up the local government, seeing the peculiarity of the area and the challenges in the area. So what I set out to do, I put up a very, very young cabinet, young persons coming together, we pulled our resources together and see that we can change the narrative about governance. And that is why you read about my activities with the UN Habitat. I was only about the only Nigerian local government chairman that went to Nairobi to make a 30-minute presentation on the methods of governance that we adopt in Cairo as at that time. And that attracted us over 120 million naira to carry out those projects, you know. Those are grants attracted by our activities. So the point I'm trying to make is that, and that is why, again, I could not return the second time, because the local government was seen as a platform for servicing stakeholders, political stakeholders, yes, and traditional rulers within the domain. So when I came and said, look, guys, let's change this narrative. Let's get these few resources that get to us, because not all the resources get to us. The resources that get to us, let's get it, deploy it to service the people. Let's grow IGR. You saw in that report that we did a lot of tax reforms. We digitized the process. You can't sit as local government chairman. They go out every day and tell you, oh, we brought 20,000, we brought 50,000. From where? From who? What did you charge? For what purpose? So we did digitize our process. We enacted bylaws to create rates for each tax head. And we held a lot of town hall engagements with the general public, with business community, to enlighten them. Look, there are reforms now. We have reduced the rate, at the tax rate. If you used to pay 20,000, you are now going to pay 5,000, for instance. So we reduced it, but you have to ensure that you pay your money into the right account of government. You do not need to give your cash to any individual or any staff of government. That grew our IGR by over 300%, and then gave us the opportunity. We harness those resources, and then we get to provide a lot of services to our people. So stakeholders are not happy, of course. So when we came back, the people want me to come back, but the stakeholders say no.
Because we are, yes, I remember the first time when we had Convergence 3.0 in Kano or
that's
something,
right.
And and the debate about the resource persons, and somebody was about Honorable Samuel Akala, one young guy in Kano, he must come. So I started getting interested in you. What's your vision for local governments, you know, generally in the country, local government autonomy and the rest of them? What do you think, and how much do you think that vision can be realized?
Look, I hold a very firm opinion and vision that lying in the local government are enormous solutions to our development challenges. Having been there, seeing what the nation is going through today, if we allow the local government to function effectively, how do we do that? First, we must address leadership recruitment into the local government. Let the people decide who lists them. The councillors can come from a galaxy of political parties, not one party winning all the seats of the councillors. Because when I was in the local government, I made a very robust legislative council. And I said, look, guys, you must check what we are doing. I ensure I submit my appropriation bill to them to pass it every year. So my vision for local government is that, look, the insecurity challenge bedeviling our nation today can be tackled if the local government is granted full administrative and financial autonomy.
Well, as we wrap up the program tonight, we wish to thank Honorable Samuel Akala for your time and contributions on the program. It was a pleasure having you. Thank you so very much. Thank you so very much. Always. Electoral Reform Half Hour is brought to you by Peering Advocacy and Advancement Center in Africa, with support from MacArthur Foundation. We are live every Saturday from 8:30 p.m. to 9 p.m. with a repeat broadcast on Sunday at 2:30 p.m. on this same station. Thank you for watching. I am Ezenwawagu.